Hey guys and gals, John Milton here, and today I have another video for everyone out there. It's actually an idea that came to me last night when I was just thinking about some stuff, and it's a question that regularly pops into my head, and that is, what is the future of rock? Now, when you ask someone, like, say, what is the future of rock, usually it means to, like, what the latest trend will be. I mean, in the 1980s we saw, actually in the 1960s we saw, like, the Flower Power era, and then that sort of like faded out as we entered the 1970s with bands like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd and Rush, for instance, sort of like a progressive like rock wave. And then in the 1980s we saw, the emergence of things like glam metal, thrash too, with bands like Motley Crue, Kiss, hair metal too, like bands like Def Leppard, all in the 1980s. And there's also the new wave of British hair metal in the form of, bands like Iron Maiden, Diamond Head, and thrash was specific about bands like Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer and Megadeth, which are considered the big four of thrash. In the 90s we saw the scene known as like, there was like alternative rock and grunge, like one of my like favourite aspects, bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, STP, IE Stone Temple Pilots, bands like Soundgarden, L7, Mudhoney, I believe, Temple of the Dog, Mother Love Bone, so all those bands, they really took the 90s by storm. And then as we entered the 2000s, we saw like, the emergence of like new metal with bands like, well actually that started in the late 1990s, but it really took off in the early 2000s with bands like, Korn, Limp Bizkit, and recently, like, we started seeing an increase in, shall I say, like metalcore, so like deathcore with bands like, While She Sleeps, Bring Me the Horizon. I don't really, like these bands too much. So yeah, and what could happen in the future is, I think there'll be like a re-embracing of like, an old genre such as like, metalcore and deathcore kind of like emanates from like the death metal scene, which originated in Florida with bands which is like Cannibal Corpse, for instance. Just like a variation on that, but it's like modern, but it isn't really as like revered as like music, because I think at that time, like with any like new scene, it's becoming more and more harder for like bands to sort of like create something new, because most stuff's already been done, such as like, in the 1980s, like, glam and hair metal, that was just like something like revolutionary, like no band had ever done before. So, I think in the future, like, just with like a metalcore deathcore, there will be a re-embracing of an old genre. Now, what I'm personally hoping for, guys and gals, is like a return to, say, like grunge, for instance. Like there's been like a revival with like, albums by artists such as like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, for instance. Especially Alice in Chains, they've been like, their output recently has increased, and they've returned to be like a full-time band, whereas like Soundgarden just recently, got like back on the road and stuff. So that's something I'm hoping for in the future. It's what I feel could like potentially, like, what has hindered music these days is the sort of like idea of like technology becoming in. For instance, the use of like computer like manufactured sounds and stuff like auto-tune to like try to enhance and like make music better than what it actually is. Now I know a lot of you guys and gals are fans out there, but stuff like dubstep by bands like Skrillex, for instance, I just feel like waters down sort of like music like Korn, especially like their albums such as like The Path to Totality and bits on whatever their new album's called, the Paradigm Shift. Like, I know that was more returns like a rock base, but still like elements of like dubstep in there. And I just feel dubstep's like weak, and it's like it's manufactured like it just sucks, basically, in my opinion. And I feel like this like new breed of bands, it's like the metalcore, deathcore. It's artificial in that back in the day, like music was like made, and crowds at like live gigs could like anticipate like when an intense part was coming up. But these guys, they have stuff like breakdowns. It's just like they're just continually overused breakdowns. It's just like, damn, it's like they can't think of anything else to do, and that like sets the crowd up. But back in the day, like crowds reacted you know, they knew what was coming, but these bands had to like signal it because they just do. So yeah, in the future, I'm hoping for like a return to like the good old days, like, you know, the classic rock, like, you know, bands like Zeppelin and, you know, Rush, for instance. You know, bands that embrace proper music. You know, just like get in the studio, like pick up their instruments, record, and then issue that tape, you know, out to the public. I mean, I'm more of a retro guy in that, you know, I kind of dig the way, like, Sabbath, for instance, like, recorded their 1978 debut album, which was self-titled. Like, they basically went in their, like, day one studio, recorded their stuff, the next day went in for mixing, then it was issued to the public. I mean, there was no, like, you know, technology or auto-tune back then, and it really helped the music because it was just revered, and essentially I think all this, like, technology and, you know, stuff like dubstep and, you know, it's just watering music down, and it's making music less critically acclaimed than where it wants to be. That's why there's been an argument put forward as to, like, will music ever return, like, to the good old days? And I feel the only way we could do that is by, like, artists, you know, just picking up their instruments in the studio, like, and recording, you know, and then issuing the release out to the public. I mean, fair enough, you could do, like, you know, multi-layers, like, for instance, like, Nirvana, Nevermind, for instance. Like, albums, like, you know, really layered, like, it really has, like, a big sound, and, you know, I'm all for that, but, you know, just, like, using, like, computer manufactured stuff instead of, like, you know, actually playing something that comes from the heart and the soul. It's just, yeah, I think that's what definitely, like, music should embrace in the future. Realistically, what may happen is, I'm really not sure. It truly depends on how long this, like, metalcore, deathcore scene lasts. Hopefully not too long, because, you know, I've never been a fan. You know, this is just my personal opinion, but I don't see the point in, like, just, like, growling and screaming. It's just, like, and the subject matter of these bands is just, like, you know, there's, like, moan and cry, like, I lost my girlfriend. That's thing. There's, like, way more important things in life, you know, than just, like, losing a girl or something. You know, it's just, there's more realistic things that you concentrate on. And I don't think those bands are promoting a good message. Like, you know, they don't really help in any way. I mean, you know, those bands are, like, bringing, like, the scene, the music that we all love down, because, like, originally, like, people who are not into metal, like, say, you know, or rock, for instance, you know, say they don't like it because they can't understand the lyrics. And those bands that, like, insistently, like, scream or growl, just adhering to that, basically, like, giving into the argument that metal or rock is crap. And I feel that if they were to be exterminated, you know, would help the future, because people would realise that, you know, rock's actually good, and there are some bands out there that sing, you know, like, with melody and, like, get important and positive messages across. And, yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm just not really a fan of the current, like, scene bands. I just don't dig them at all, to be honest. And, you know, you know, there's been a few people say, like, these bands will be, like, irrelevant in, like, a couple of years' time, and I really hope that's true. You know, there are some, like, relatively new bands out there that do embrace, you know, so, like, the old style, like, sort of, like, rock and roll music, just, like, you know, bands, like, I heard a band recently known as Cage the Gods, and they were really good. So they're sort of like a hard rock, sort of like edge. There's also bands like Black Stone Cherry, for instance, and Alter Bridge. You know, I mean, Miles Kennedy is unique because, you know, that dude just has a voice that's just, like, you know, there's, like, no one out there, you know, on planet rock at the moment that really has a voice like him. You know, and it's just, yeah, in the future I hope that bands will embrace, you know, more of, like, a vintage approach to, like, recording music, you know, just, like, picking up their instruments, you know, playing, like, a proper melody, you know, something that's going to, like, grab people's attention, you know, for all the right reasons. I mean, like, these scene bands, you know, pardon me, you know, these scene bands, they, fair enough, they may pick up their instruments and play, but it's basically just, like, a combination, just, like, tremolo picking and just, like, I don't see the point in, like, trying to just like, break the strings off your guitar just to make, you know, try to make a heavy sound, you know. You can make a heavy sound, you know, by playing properly and just, you know, not doing that approach. You know, so, yeah, I'm really not sure what direction rock will take in the future, guys and gals, but hopefully it'll be good, and you know, in the future there'll still be music for us to enjoy. I'm going to be covering, you know, topics of this nature, I'd say like every once couple of days, because, you know, in the meantime I'll have my, you know, album reviews and guitar covers, like, you know, in the mix, you know, rolling. So yeah, it's just sort of like just like a subsidiary series. Well, I'm intending to do it regular, so maybe it could turn into like, you know, another main series. But you know, I just think it's cool for like you know, to get my point out there. So you know, I could have like a discussion and debate, you know, with you guys, like what you feel, like related specifically to this video, like what you feel could be like the future of like rock and like where it could head from here. You know, I was just there's just an idea like as we're heading into 2014 and like looking to the future, it's like you know, what will happen. So yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed this video, and I shall see y'all later, and prepare. Yeah, I'm hoping to like regularly like upload, like maybe like I'm just trying to get as much video and much stuff out there, you know, while I can, because it's good, like, you know, to, you know, try and, you know, accumulate like, you know, a relatively large subscriber base on YouTube. And I also, you know, want to, like I said, like get my opinions out there to you guys and girls, so we can like have like a shared discussion, because there's nothing absolutely better, you know, than like talking with y'all about, you know, something that's close to my heart, like music. You know, I absolutely love music, and it'd be amazing to like, you know, like share our opinions together, like, you know, through comments or stuff relating to this video. So yeah, guys, hope you've enjoyed this video, and look forward to more stuff from me in the future. Till then, forever.